Welcome everybody to another show. Today I'm taking on a question that we've been asked a million times by a bunch of people. Probably not a million times, more like twice, by the same person. And it was my wife, and she was like, how are we making money on this endeavor? And I'm like, I don't know. How do you make money on the road? And we put out a few videos about how we do that, but today I'm talking specifically about what I do to make money and the things I've learned about the way in which I make money. And I thought I'd share that with you because I do something that a lot of people do, and that is I freelance. Now I freelance in a different way than you might. I do video editing freelance. The point is, I took a daytime job, a job that I got paid for at a place, and did it on my own. And that transition was kind of difficult, and I learned a bunch of things. So that's what I'm sharing with you today, the things that I've learned about freelancing that you should know. And the first thing is, don't do it. It's terrible. The first thing is that it is, as you would expect if you've never done it before, it is feast or famine. Feast or famine. I said famine very fancy because famine is sort of a word that makes you think, you're poor, you're not doing well. But if you speak proper, like proper English, and you say famine, it's not so bad. You're actually doing okay. The freelance world, it is super up and down. I have fairly regular clients, and I do pretty well. We've done okay with freelance, but it's still very some months it's crazy busy and we make a lot of money. A lot of money is very dependent on what your definition of a lot is. For us, if we make anything over like $25, we can fund our trip for a month. Luckily, if you can manage your money pretty well and you plan on knowing that next month we may not have any money, and you do really well some of those other months, you can tuck some away and you do just fine. But it's still sort of stressful because you don't have that knowing, that assurance that, in 2 weeks or whatever, we get another paycheck. It's kind of like, I don't know, I guess I got to go out and get another job. These, by the way, if you're wondering, what is that behind them? These, so I have, they're not in here. I got these new shoes. That's not what this video is about, but you should know. And they have different insoles. So they have these are the comfy, I want to say sweater. So they're basically sweaters for your feet. All right, so that's number one. Plan on it being very up and very down, and prepare for the down months because they're going to come. All right, the second thing is, regardless of what your craft is or what it is you're doing freelance, I think it's important to always be learning and always bettering yourself. Looking at other people, like for me, doing video editing and motion graphic design, looking at other people's work who are better than me and trying to figure out how they did what they did, so that I'm always, doing something that is not necessarily trendy, but I'm just always bettering myself. I'm not just relying on past skills or things I've done before. I'm always trying to learn and grow, and I think that's very important. Another thing I've learned, and have had to learn the hard way from years ago, is that you really don't want to undervalue yourself. Figure out what your value is. Most likely, the prices that you're going to charge for yourself are probably, in most cases, under what they should be. Most people tend to lack self-confidence, especially confidence in when they're trying to charge somebody money for something. They tend to undervalue the value of that skill or that whatever service you're providing people actually is. So I think it's better to really look at maybe the competition. What is a fair price, a fair rate for what service you're providing people, and then assess yourself very accurately, or ask somebody else, what do you think my service is worth? Am I any good? And if you're good, charge for it. Don't be afraid to charge for it. Actually, that's another thing that I didn't even have on my list. Really being kind of a stickler for the right kind of client can go a long ways. And I know that on those months where you haven't worked all month, you're just in a place where you're I'll take any work from anybody. It's easy to get to that place, but if you can get to a place where you just try to hold out and try to really know who your ideal client is, and know yourself. I'm kind of crazy and a little sarcastic and, a little difficult. So I know the kind of clients that would mesh well with me, where we would kind of vibe well together. And I try to be specific and not try to take those jobs that I know in the end are going to come and bite me. And I've had that happen so many times where you get these nightmare clients that make you think, what the heck am I doing? And so try not to get those clients. Make sure you're working with people that are good and who appreciate the skills that you're providing them. All right, the next thing is something that I hate to do, and that is, it's like, this is it. You have you need to protect yourself is basically what it is. I hate blending business with what I do for money, which I know sounds stupid, but I didn't want to sit off and be a freelancer who was very like, I'm going to start a business. I did not want to start a business and still hate the idea of having to bring in those business side of freelance into my freelance. I like to make it just very simple and low key, but you do have to get to a point sometimes where contracts are important and you really do have to protect yourself, because not every client is a good client. And we've been burnt a few times with clients who just have turned out to be crazy people, or just in the end, it turns out they have no money, or they're not in a hurry to pay you, or you just never get paid by them. And if you don't have some sort of paper that says, hey, you did say you'd pay me at this time, then you have no way of getting your money. And sometimes I haven't had those papers and I've just been like, oh, well, I guess we're not getting paid from this person. Which kind of goes back to working with really good people. But sometimes you just don't know. They seem like good people and they turn out to be absolute crazy people. The next thing is that I think it's super important to over communicate with your clients. It's something I don't do super well, but it's very important from the get-go to set aside and make very clear like payment schedule, timelines, what the expectations are from both you and the client, and make sure that's super clear for everybody, so there's not surprises down the road. Because I tend to lean more on the side of, I don't want this to be a business, I want this to be very, simple and easygoing. That's bit me before, where I haven't communicated clearly enough at first, up front, and down the road, because certain details weren't really clear. It's easy to have misunderstandings on either side. You thought the client was going to pay on this time, and they were like, oh, I didn't think we had to pay you at all. Or they expected you to have the video, in my case, done here, and you were like, I didn't know you needed the video at all. You just make sure those details are very clear up front. That's very important. Which kind of goes back to like the paperwork and the contract and stuff. It's all terrible. I hate all of that, but it is helpful. You're kind of falling over there. What are you drinking there in that coffee? Okay, the next thing is was something really good. What the heck was it? It was such a good one. Oh well, I guess you don't know what it is. All right, the next thing is don't get interrupted by Miss Rose. Doggone you. The next thing is this is difficult to do, but try to balance getting new work, new clients, with working on the current work that you have. Because what tends to happen, it is so cold outside. What tends to happen is you spend, like say you're just setting out freelancing for like the first time maybe, you'll spend the first month or 2 months or however long acquiring clients and acquiring work. And what can happen is you get very busy and inundated with work, and then you stop looking for work because you're just trying to get the work done. And then you get the work done and you realize I haven't spent any time getting new clients. And that's really what can cause those gaps in income, is because now you're like, okay, now I need to go get some work. And it takes, another few weeks or months to get more work. And then you get work and you get really busy and you stop getting work. And so trying to manage both of those things can be difficult because you can get very busy. But it's also important to try to continue the work of building business and getting new clients while also finishing the projects that you have. So one of the things that I've done in the past when I've gotten really busy is I've just had to hire other people to help take on other projects so that I could keep my head above water and not want to go and run my head over with a large tractor or something. We never have tractors, we just have cars, so it's not worth it. But anyways, try to do both. Okay, I think this is the last one. And it is up to you, obviously, as were the other ones. I wasn't forcing you to do anything. But I recommend not doing your work, whatever work it is that you're being paid for, whatever service you're providing or skill people are paying you for. I recommend not giving that away to friends and family. In fact, I recommend not doing work for friends or family. I still do work for friends and family once in a while, but it's very we're very choosy with the people that we do that with. And I don't think I've done free work for family or friends in quite some time. Maybe once in a while. But what tends to happen, especially when you first set out doing freelance, is you get friends and family saying, hey, this person's doing this, why don't you do that for them? And that can be okay to get started, but it can also really come back to bite you because, I don't know, some friends or family think that you're going to be more generous than you actually were planning to be, and then it can be awkward to say, hey, I actually did need to get paid for that. Or you tell them your rates and prices, and they're just like, oh my gosh, why don't you give us a deal? You're a terrible person. It can just get a little sticky, and if you value those relationships more than the money, I would just say keep the two separate. Go and make somebody else angry, a stranger. That's better than making your mother angry. Don't do work for your mother. She can be the worst. I know your mom. Definitely don't want to do any work for her. Well, I think that's about it. Hopefully that's helpful if you're going into this some kind of new lifestyle or change and you're looking to do some sort of freelance. Those are some of the things that I've learned. We'll be putting out more videos with more tips and things, more specific things that I've learned. But for now, if you would subscribe to this channel, and like the video, share it with somebody who think it could be helpful to. That would be very helpful to us. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.